Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2024 release In Flames. This is a Pakistani film, and this is actually the very first Pakistani film I think I've ever seen in my life. It did actually give me kind of similar vibes to the first Saudi Arabian film I ever watched, which I think was last year, called Naga, which was also horror, but it was very light on the horror, and that's actually the case with In Flames as well. And it could very well be like a cultural thing. So I'm going to give my review of this film, no spoilers, obviously, but just know, like, I am a white man from the United States, and that's the type of cinema I have been raised on. Also, watching a lot of, like Japanese cinema, Korean cinema, French cinema. Um, I get stuff from kind of all over the place, a bunch of Indonesian, Malaysian, Thai. I go kind of all over the place, but I haven't seen a whole lot from the Middle East area. So it's been very interesting when I checked out Naga from Saudi Arabia, and very interesting to see this Pakistani film In Flames. I would recommend it. I think overall it is a good film, but obviously I'll go over what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. So here we go. In Flames is written and directed by Zarrar Kahn. This is the individual's first feature film. And honestly, for a first feature film, I think quite good. If this is your starting point, there's a lot of room to get extremely good. Like I said, it's a Pakistani film, but it's also like jointly done with Canada as well. So monetarily kind of a joint film. I rented it through Fandango at home for $4.23, and that's with tax. So it's a very nominal fee to watch the film and find out if you like it. So, kind of worth it. So, quick synopsis of it. It takes place in Pakistan. It's about a young woman who is just kind of trying to navigate her life. She's in college at the moment doing her studying, and she lives with her mother, who is alone. Her father has passed away some time ago. Her grandfather has just passed away, and that's really hitting the family very hard. So there is an aspect of loss to the film. And then, the family trying to deal with it. And things are kind of rough as far as like a monetary situation goes. And there's this question of how much is the uncle going to end up helping them out. Like the daughter, the main character, is kind of thinking, he's acting like a nice guy now, but I think he might have ulterior motives. Meanwhile, she's getting romantically involved with a guy that she knows who's kind of been a friend of hers. So the romance that ends up happening, which is a lot more than you would assume for something that's being tagged as a horror film, starts to play out, which it's pretty cute. And then things start to kind of go from there. I don't want to say too much more, but a lot of the film feels like it's just focusing a lot on this individual trying to live her life in a male-dominated society, and kind of how tough that can end up being, and how hard it is to kind of navigate, because she does really need to be careful. So she's abiding by the laws that she's supposed to. She's also there for her family, but also voicing concerns that her family should know about, even if they're not going to listen to her, those types of things. But anyway, that's my synopsis for it. One of my problems with this film, not that it's subtitled, because I'm fine with subtitles, the subtitles are so small. I usually on my large TV can do subtitles without my glasses, and I usually do it that way, but I had to get my glasses because those subtitles were so tiny. And even then, I felt like I was straining a little bit to see it, so that's one of my big issues with this film. The subtitles are minuscule in size, so that's a big issue. They do establish the main character's family situation very effectively, very quickly. You understand who this person is, and you feel for this person pretty much immediately. You do get sucked in to who she is and what her her small world situation is, and kind of like how she conducts herself, her fears about how she conducts herself, and kind of like her parameters with how she needs to live in the society. So for someone like me, like I was saying, white guy from the United States, I can understand societally what she needs to be navigating as a female in Pakistan society. So they did a good job of having that come through. So while I'm sure it plays well to a Pakistani audience, it also plays well to an international audience. So yeah. There isn't much of a score, which is good at times, but overall not good. I do wish there was a little bit more music that ended up being used, because when the score is there, A, it's well composed, and B, it's well used. They don't scream at you with the score, which is one of the biggest issues I typically have with films. They're very reserved with how they're using it, but they're almost too reserved with how much they end up not using it. I'm a big fan of having entire scenes where you'll drop the score out so people can just kind of like hear the sound design and just kind of like feel what's between characters without being led by a score. But there are times where you kind of need that. So I think a little bit more of the score would have been really good with this film. It doesn't kill the film though, but it would have enhanced it a lot more if there was a little bit more of the score in there. The acting is okay, which ends up making character interactions a little bit awkward. I don't know what the actor base is like in Pakistan. I don't know what the budget for this film was like there as well. So it's hard to know, like, how good is the acting? You know, what was available to this filmmaker as far as acting goes? There are performances that are pretty good. There are some performances that are just okay. I wouldn't say there are any bad performances in this film. It just feels like it's low budget, you know, and that's what you end up expecting acting wise, is just like okay performances. But unfortunately, with what the story is, it kind of detracts during certain sequences, because you need these character interactions to go smoothly, and they don't all the time. Some do, but not all of them. The movie is quite slow, so it actually ends up feeling a lot more drama-y. Like I said, it's in the beginning, it's very light on the horror, which some people will really like that. Some people will really hate that. I was looking for more of like a stronger horror element, but again, I don't know what horror is in that culture. And for that culture, maybe this is a decent amount of horror. I don't know that. But from what I'm seeing, from what I personally wanted, I just say that I wanted more horror to it. I wanted more of those scenes where they're making something feel very messed up and ominous. Now, they do have some horror and horrific scenes, and those are well executed, I think. I just wanted more of that. Just make the film feel scarier, make it feel creepier, because the portions where they do it, I think, was very effective. I just think more of it would have really enhanced it. So it does feel very drama-like, going back to that point. I like the way the cinematography is handled. It looks pretty good. And this goes back to what I was saying about this being the individual Zarrar Khan's first feature film, especially from an aesthetic standpoint, pretty impressive in my opinion. So I think this individual has a bright future in film, really has a bright future in film, if this is their first feature-length film. So yeah. Looks great. Aesthetically, I really like the way it's shot. Horror is quite sparse. Kind of already talked about that. Would have liked more of it. The ending is good. The pacing is very slow, so some people will start to feel like they're kind of drifting away from the film, maybe losing a little bit of interest, especially if you're there looking for the horror of it. But I think the end is well played out. I think it has good impact. It'll make you kind of think about things a little bit afterwards. So the ending is there. The idea is there. The full execution is not there, but a lot of components of the execution is there. So that's what I'll say. Excuse me. The last thing that I put on here was the horrors in this are of a woman in a society where they have little power to control their own lives. So that's been in horror films before in the United States, and I do think that that's effective. And in this film, I think it's very effective. So yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty solid film. Out of 5 stars, I'd give it a 3-star rating. I would recommend checking it out, especially if you want to be sampling films from other countries. And like I said, this was my first Pakistani film, so I think it was my first Pakistani film, if not my second. But yeah, it was a positive experience overall. But anyway, thank you everyone for checking this out. Do me a favor, hit subscribe to the channel to support me. If you want to pitch in monetarily for a very small fee, you can become a member of the channel and you get some perks with that each month. There's a link in the description to give you all that information. Doing a thumbs up on this would really help out with that YouTube algorithm. I would appreciate that. And you can hit the notification bell button so you know when I'm putting up new videos, which is like every day at this point. But anyway, thank you so much for checking this out. I appreciate your time. And until next time, keep it brutal.